Am I wrong for serving my husband's family mac and cheese for dinner? My husband, Asian, and I, American, welcomed our firstborn 4 weeks ago. The baby is healthy, thank God, but I'm exhausted. I haven't fixed my hair, barely able to shower, and cannot sleep. My husband's family had been pressuring us to visit to meet the baby. I tried to hold them off as much as I could, but yesterday I was surprised to find them standing on the porch. Turns out hubby invited them for dinner. I was embarrassed and felt like I wasn't ready for visitors, judgmental ones at that, because the house was a mess. Anyways, my husband sat with them while I fed my son, and then later I asked my husband if we could order some takeout for dinner. He said no, because his parents would find this rude and unwelcoming. He suggested that I go inside the kitchen and prepare something, anything as long as it's homemade. I said fine, then went and made some mac and cheese. The reason I prepared this meal is because of how easy it is. Once I served the family, my husband's mom looked at me and was appalled. I noticed something was wrong. She asked if I really thought it appropriate to serve her and the family mac and cheese. I asked why not, and she went on a rant about how disrespectful this was and that I clearly have no experience in what is right and wrong when it comes to hosting. I said, excuse me? Who said I signed up to host an unexpected visit from them, and she took it as if I didn't want them there. Her husband said they were just there to finally see the baby that I kept them from seeing for an entire month. That's a whole month of life they missed out on. We had an argument and they decided to go home. My husband said that deciding to serve his family mac and cheese was more offensive than serving them nothing at all. I told him that I was too exhausted to cook their traditional feasts that I was forced to learn from his mom. He took offense and said that I was being mean and disrespectful towards not only his family but his culture. I went inside the bedroom to stay with my son. My husband stayed on the phone with his family for an hour, then kept giving me the cold shoulder and refused to eat what I cook in support of his family. I understand how some guests might find it offensive, especially his family, but I was just trying to make a quick homemade meal like my husband wanted. What's wrong with mac and cheese?
My dad admitted that he was in love with me at my wedding. Story time. Okay, so to start, my dad's always been a fucking weirdo. And of course, I absolutely love my dad. Not in like a strange. Growing up, he always made these weird, inappropriate comments to my friends. And at one point, they just refused to come round to my house if my dad was going to be in. Now, I love my parents, but me and my mum are so close. We're like best friends. When I think back, I've always felt slightly uncomfortable around my dad. But my mum never picked up on anything, so I just thought this was normal. Now let me introduce you to my fiancé, Steve. Welcome to the story, Steve. Woo! Me and Steve, it was love at first sight. We met during college. We'd been together for like 5 years before he popped the question. Easiest yes of my life. Now, my dad had always shown a lot of animosity towards Steve, but I was just thinking he was like an overprotective dad. I didn't think he was in love with me or whatever. I don't know how I didn't pick up on this sooner, but when we were planning the wedding, we went through 5 different dates because all of them my dad said that he couldn't go to. I know you're not that booked and busy, Dad. My dad was asking a lot of questions. My fiance did point this out to me, but I just thought it was my dad being a weirdo still, so I didn't think anything of it. This man wanted to know the timetable of the day down to the second. And very specifically, he wanted to know about the time that we would be saying I do. And we were like, well, obviously that's just after the bit where the person says, does anyone have any objections? Otherwise, these 2 people shouldn't get married. We say our vows, then we say I do. So my dad just didn't show up to the day of my wedding. I'm waiting at the top of the aisle, waiting for him to walk me down. Anyone see my dad? No, great. I just thought that he was being silly and I walked down myself. And except for that, the whole ceremony was beautiful. So then we get to the question that we thought would be the least of our worries that day. Does anyone have any reasons why we should stop this wedding? My dad came sprinting down the aisle saying, I do. Dad, that's my line, shut the fuck up. We started losing it. We thought it was so funny. We thought, haha, he's been stupidly late. Now he's trying to make an entrance. Like, ha. Then we expect him to sit down and like join the ceremony. He flipping doesn't. So once again, the question gets asked. Anyone got any issues as to why we shouldn't get married? My dad replies again saying, I do. So if you don't know, if this happens at our wedding, you then have to wait for 30 days until you can actually get married. And that was when my dad went ahead and confessed that he was in love with me. He goes in to have this like full-blown meltdown in the middle of the aisle. He's like, I can't let you marry Steve. That should be me. That should be me. Holding your hand. That should be. And obviously I just stood there in absolute shock and disbelief. This was the day I found out that my dad was an absolute weirdo.
Am I the asshole for refusing to let my wife wake up our daughter to see a bear? My wife and kids, 12 female, 10 female, 8 male, 6 male, 4 male, and I just spent 3 weeks at our cabin while we got some repairs done on our house. Our 10-year-old, Rose, has leukemia. A lot of the activities around the cabin are outdoors, and Rose doesn't usually have the energy for that. So one of her favorite activities has been watching the wildlife from this big window seat in the master bedroom and taking pictures of what she sees. Her goal since she started doing this was to see a bear. There are some in the area, but it's not too common to see one. She has me take her up to the window seat after dinner and usually falls asleep watching for bears. Towards the end of the 3 weeks, I had to take her to the hospital for chemo, 3.5 hours each way. That night, she fell asleep in the window seat again, and when I got up to carry her to bed, there were 2 bears close to our cabin. I called my wife over to see, and I took a picture on Rose's iPad, but my wife wanted to wake Rose up so she could see. She hasn't gotten to see a bear this trip. I told my wife she needs to rest, and that showing her the picture would be enough, but my wife still tried to wake her up. I stopped her again and got Rose in bed. The next morning, I told Rose that there were bears last night, and I showed her the picture. She asked if I woke her up. I said yes, because I didn't want her to get upset, but my wife told Rose that I wouldn't let anybody wake her up. We did not see any more bears for the rest of the trip, and Rose has been devastated. She refuses to speak to me and deleted the pictures I took for her because apparently it doesn't count. She's even refusing to sleep next to me. She's been sleeping between me and my wife since she got sick. So my wife has had to sleep in Rose's room since the trip. My wife is even talking about taking Rose back to the cabin for a week to try and see a bear. I don't think it's a big deal, but my wife and Rose are still upset with me, so I wanted to know if I was the asshole.
So, I'm a preschool teacher, and about a week and a half ago, one of my kids came up to me and started calling me China. She would come up to me, go, "Hey China, hey China." Like, why in the world are you calling me China? You know my name. What's my name? Miss Caitlin? Okay, then why are you calling me China? So confused. And she go, "I don't know." She doesn't know why she's calling me China either. Anyways, every single day for 2 weeks straight, multiple times a day, she'd come up to me, "Hey China, hey China." What in the world are you talking about, girl? That is not my name, and you know my name. I don't get it. So finally, Mom, I'm like, I have to figure this out. I have to know where this is coming from. So Mom comes to pick her up, and on a Friday, Mom comes to pick her up. And I'm like, "Hey, so does homegirl, like, know anybody outside of school named China? Watch any shows? Like, anything like that? Like, I need to know where this is coming from, because she's been calling me China for the last 2 weeks. It just came out of nowhere." And she goes, "Well, a week and a half ago is when I started teaching her about body parts. And I'm a cop, so it's important to me to use the right words when talking about body parts." And me and her just like stopped for a second and looked at each other and had this moment of realization. Yeah, she's been calling me a vagina for the last 2 weeks. A 3-year-old has been calling me, only me, not my co-teacher, nobody else, just me, calling me a vagina for the last 2 weeks. And ever since I brought it up to Mom, she hasn't said it since. So there's a lot of names preschoolers will call you, but I bet you haven't heard that one before.
Am I wrong for considering leaving my emotionally distant wife? Okay, here we go. My wife, 30 female, and I, 32 male, have been married for 6 years. We have 2 kids aged 1 and 3. She's a stay-at-home mom, and I work a regular 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday. We take turns looking after the kids when I get home on the weekends. She does most of the household chores, but we do split the cooking. I appreciate all she's done for the kids and for the house. However, over the past year, since we had our second kid, she has become emotionally distant, and I find it hard to strike meaningful conversations with her. Our sex life is great, but apart from that, she seems to not want to put in the mental effort to have conversations. It's all really bland, and our whole life has become really monotonous. I fell in love with her because we used to have such great conversations and joke around and emotionally meshed really well together. Now it just isn't the case anymore. She doesn't want to have fun. She doesn't even want to have fun, like go on dates or have movie nights. She does enjoy sex, but that's about it. She doesn't even hang out with any of her friends and just has a sad demeanor around her. She's just stuck in the house all day. I do not enjoy living with her anymore. I fell in love with her personality and her joyful energy, and this is no longer the person who I fell in love with. I've been hanging out with my sister, 29 female, more frequently over the last few months. My wife doesn't even care who I hang out with or if I'm home late. It's like she's given up on the relationship altogether. Hanging out with my sister has been such a mental relief for me, as I have someone else I can talk to and have meaningful conversations with. Someone I can talk to about life. We hang out a couple days a week, and it's the part of the week I look forward to most. We plan out picnics, movie nights, dinners, brunches. My sister told me I should consider divorcing my wife because she isn't meeting my emotional needs, and I agree. I appreciate my wife for taking care of the house and the kids. If we do proceed with the divorce, I'm fine with the house going to my wife. I will just move in with my sister temporarily till I find a new house. I do still plan on being actively involved in my kids' lives, as they are the two people I love most in the world. I'm probably going to proceed with the divorce, but a part of me cannot just forget the years we've been together. It makes me sad that it's come to this stage. This will come as a massive shock to my wife if I bring the divorce topic up. A small part of me thinks I am wrong for doing this and a massive astronaut, but have I been left with any choice? Update 2 days later. I have messed everything up and I'm at a crossroads now, and I really need some advice on how to proceed. I do not know much about depression and did not consider the possibility that my wife was depressed. Yet my wife is really sensitive, and I wanted to breach this topic as gently as possible last night. When my wife was done putting our 3-year-old to sleep, I asked her if she could come over to the couch and I'd give her a leg massage. She said she was extremely tired and wanted to go to sleep, so I asked her if I could just give her the massage in bed while she's sleeping. She really liked that suggestion and thanked me. While I was giving her the massage, I thanked her again for all she's doing for the kids. I told her I could not be more grateful to have her as a wife and as a mother to our kids. She got a bit more emotional and thanked me too for working hard at my job and providing for the family. I then asked her if there's a reason she stopped hanging out with her friends and I could stay at the house and take care of the kids if she wanted to go out for a bit. She said the kids are her primary priority and that she doesn't have the energy for any social interactions. I told her I'm a bit burnt out too, and suggested that we go to couples therapy together, where we could just talk about our life with a professional. She surprisingly seemed open to the suggestion, and I was really happy about it. However, here's where I messed up a lot. I still had some thoughts about separation and divorce, so I just told her that I don't think I'm the best husband for her. This surprised her a lot, and I could notice her immediate shift in reaction. She told me I'm the best husband she could ever hope for. She then got up to kiss me, but I was a bit messed up mentally, so I just moved away from the kiss and rejected her. I've never done this with her ever. She was extremely hurt. I could see it in her face, and this hurt me even more. She then asked if there's anything she needed to do to be a better wife. Oh my God. I really shouldn't have said what I said next. I asked her if she could be more happy and have a positive energy around her, and if we could have more engaging conversations. She then started crying a bit and started apologizing a lot and said she'll try to put on more of a happy face from now on. I felt like an absolute monster when I saw her crying then, and I told her there was no reason to apologize, and it hurts me to see her like this. I then asked if we could bring my sister around the house more often so she could transmit her positive energy to my wife. Looking back, that was probably the worst thing I could have said, and I'm still regretting saying that. She then excused herself to go to the restroom, and when she came back, I could see that she had probably cried a lot in the restroom. I kept apologizing for what I said, but she said there was no need to apologize and she would try and be a better wife from now on. Come morning, she has been having a positive attitude, but it looks forced, especially when she's smiling. I eavesdropped on her when she went to the restroom earlier today and I could hear some sobbing. I really want to undo what I have done because it pains me to see her like this. I don't want to see her crying. We've been married for 6 years, but we've been together for more than a decade. We are each other's first and only love. I really don't want to see her like this. It's never been like this. I'm at my sister's now and gave her the lowdown on what happened. She told me I should still divorce her because what my wife is experiencing can impact my mental health too. And that could affect my work because I really need to go to work on a positive frame of mind and my work requires a lot of mental energy. I usually go to my sister for these big life decisions because I know she always wants the best for me. However, I am still conflicted because my wife supported me through my worst phases. When I fractured my leg a few years ago and was in a really bad mood for months, she was the one who stuck by me and was the light of my life when it felt like everything was crashing down. She supported me when I was doing my post-grad and got my master's. I can honestly say I wouldn't have gotten my master's degree without her support. There are numerous other examples where she's always been by my side and supported me. We are husband and wife. We're supposed to stick with each other for better or for worse in sickness and in health. We took those vows. I don't want to desert her or leave her when I think about the countless instances she's always been by my side. However, what my sister has said is also sticking on my mind, because when I come home from work, I really want a positive home atmosphere, and I can then perform better at work. However, at home, I'm getting a depressive atmosphere. And even though my wife has been putting on a positive attitude this morning, I know she's faking it, and it makes me feel worse. I want my wife to be genuinely happy and fun so she can better experience life. I really don't know what to do anymore. If we do separate, I will support my wife to the fullest financially.
Am I the asshole for being homophobic? Story time. So a fair few years ago now, I worked in this fairly corporate environment. So within our office, there was this couple. We'll call them Amy and Stacey. Amy would work there full time. She was doing really large hours like me. And Stacey joined a year or so afterwards, and she wouldn't work as often. So eventually me and Amy got on really, really well. Now when Stacey joined, she was quite shy. There was already a real strong bond between the group within the office already, and we tried to include her as much as possible, but she just didn't really gel with us the same way other people did. I don't know why, but we did quite often make the effort. Now, I was working with my best mate at the time. I'm just going to call her my friend throughout all this because I don't want to be throwing too many names in there. So one morning before like our shift starts, we're all just chatting, getting our coffees. And this guy goes, "Oh, have you heard that Amy is going to propose to Stacey?" And I was like, well, that's not possible because they're already engaged. I'm actually going to have to bring out the big guns for this because talking about it makes me so angry. And they were like, "Yeah, I swear I've seen something, but they don't talk about it very often, or they're not very public with it." So Amy and Stacey are stood behind me, and I turn and look, and she has an engagement ring on her left hand. So I turn to the group that I'm in and I go, "No guys, look, she's got an engagement ring." So all at once, we turn around and look at her. So it's quite obvious that we have been talking about her, but not like bitching. As we all turn to look, she turns to look at us. So she sees that we're looking at her, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, maybe, but is she not just wearing a ring on that finger anyway?" And I was like, let's go to Facebook, let's have a look. Got her Facebook open, looked, and it says engaged to Amy. Anyway, this was at 9 a.m. So as soon as our morning brief was done, I was required to work on a different floor that day. And I was originally supposed to be on the same floor as my friend, but I got moved, so I headed off for the rest of the day. The day goes by and my supervisor comes up to me and is like, "The managers want to talk to you in the office." You automatically just start shitting yourself, don't you? So I come in and all 3 managers are sat there. I was fucking terrified. And they're like, "No, we've had allegations of you being homophobic towards Amy and Stacey." As soon as they said that, I knew exactly what they were referencing because obviously that thing that morning had happened when we all turned around and looked at her. And they were like, "So we'd like to know what happened." So I told them exactly what I've just told you. And I'm sat there in this meeting and they're like, "How can you prove to us that you aren't homophobic?" Now listen, I am actually bisexual. At the time, I really wasn't open to talk about it with anyone. And I didn't want the first time for me to tell people to be in this scenario. I just wasn't ready yet. So I'm here like trying to clutch at straws to find reasons why I'm not homophobic. But yeah, they'd been saying that like I hate lesbians, I hate bisexual people. Anyway, these allegations, they didn't go any further. But safe to say, it was exceptionally awkward in the office for a few weeks after that. So yeah, let me know what you think. Am I the arsehole here?
This is the story of how I got in trouble for time theft and how it scarred me from being a manager ever again. This was the first time I was a manager. It was a college job. I got this job because of my experience of being an RA in the dorms. The training for this job was the summer going into my senior year of college. And at that time, I was studying abroad in Thailand. I got excused from this training. I just figured very naively that when I got back from Thailand and started the senior year and started my job, that I would just be CC'd into the training materials, or that it would be made up. Being a 21-year-old first-generation college student at this time with parents that were blue-collar workers, I had no idea how crazy corporate America really could get. So fast forward to a few months into the job, I still hadn't really gotten training at that point. I was just doing the job because I understood residence halls really well and I had the experience. Fast forward a few months in, and all of a sudden I am asked to meet with my boss and her boss without any description of what the meeting was going to be about. I go into the meeting, it's like very early the next day, and we're in a crunchy office. They accused me of stealing money the entire time I had been working up until this point. What was happening was when I was clocking in, there was always 2 different job codes that I could clock into. but these job codes didn't make any sense. Each job code had this description on it, but it was like an acronym that didn't make any sense, and then just a number next to it. The number didn't make any sense. It was like one was 1, one was 2. From their point of view, they said I was intentionally clocking into a job code that paid more sporadically throughout the month and then just getting paid extra. I asked what the differences between the two job codes were, and they said there was one job code that paid $2 extra an hour in the case that I have to work anywhere between midnight and 8 a.m. I was very confused because I was a manager. So I always had a staff that was working 24/7. So I had never worked from midnight to 8 a.m. at this job. And I even explained that the reason that I didn't ever notice this is because $2 an hour extra after taxes is nothing. I didn't work on a fixed schedule. I set my own hours and things like that. So my pay every 2 weeks was always variable. They were not down to talk about any of it. And I had always been such a goody two-shoes about work in general up until this point. And so I would just remember being so scared. I just wanted to like be alone and go cry and call my mom. Like I was just so scared that I just wanted out of that room. So they slid over like a written warning to me across the table. I signed it and I was just like, whatever. I didn't read the written agreement. And what was so frustrating about it was I was looking at my boss during the meeting and I knew that this person was approving my time every 2 weeks, just like I had been with my staff. So it was just really frustrating to me because in my mind, it was like, if I was doing something wrong, then this should have been talked about like immediately. I assured them that if I saw a huge gap in my pay or a difference in my pay, I would absolutely bring it up to them. I was just very confused and frustrated and I didn't really know how to process any of these emotions in a more like professional corporate way at that time. I just submitted to the whole situation because I just didn't want to get even in more trouble or make an ass of myself. And for months on end, I like didn't talk to anyone about the situation. I just kind of kept it internal, and there was definitely moments where I was like second guessing myself, and I was like, was I stealing time? Like I don't know, like maybe like this is crazy, like these two adults like told me I did something wrong, like I must have done something wrong. My boss and I didn't talk for those entire months after that, so it was like super weird too, because then it almost furthered this like guilt and shame that I had. And I remember like going to one of my peers finally that was like in a different department, but we were still kind of like the same level, and I brought this up to her and she was like, oh well, you should just schedule another meeting to kind of like hash it out. And I was like, wait, but like they started it. I was like, why do I have to initiate fixing something that like they started? Like this is the weird part about corporate America sometimes, where it's just like, but I didn't do anything wrong and now I have to do even like more work to put more energy into this. The whole thing could have been avoided in general. Looking back on that story, it definitely scarred me from being a manager. As I graduated and went into the tech industry and had more of these like corporate jobs, I remember thinking to myself, really only two different ways that you can progress in corporate America. One was being a more like skilled based person and going that way, or being like a people manager. I had really sworn off people management from this experience, and so I just felt like my options were always very limited looking into corporate America because of this like trauma I was carrying from this other job that I had when I was much younger. And also looking back on this, it just frustrates me because what we see a lot happen in corporate America is like the dysfunction of upper management and all these different orgs that don't work well together. Sometimes the brunt of the guilt and the blame and the issue goes down to like the youngest employee. It'll go down to like the most inexperienced employee, the lowest person on the totem pole. And if I was truly stealing time, that's a fireable offense. That's even illegal. If it was actually true, there would have been way, way, way more action taken. I just think that it was a way for them to just put a band-aid on multiple organizations like negligence on my side too. Yes, knowing what I know now, like I totally should have just documented that I was excused from that training in a much more written way. I definitely should have been making sure that my training was made up with my manager when I got back from my study abroad for sure, but I just didn't know all this at 21. So stories like this is what made the anti-work girl boss that you know and love today, that teaches people how to be lazier at work. I spill all the tea on crazy job experiences like this in my memoir that I just launched this week, which has been super exciting. It's brief, it's 20 pages, and it's just a huge tale of all the experiences that I've had, and there's a huge, huge lesson about work at the end. When I was writing the ending parts of it and wrapping it all together, like I was literally crying because it was just like so moving and profound. I was like, dang, I like did that. But let me know if you want me to spill the tea on more work experiences as the lazy girl job girl.
I'm afraid that me and my husband may have caused an eating disorder in our daughters. I grew up as a fat kid, but when I got to college, I began taking control of my health and lost 150 pounds. I had a personal trainer who is now my husband. He was a huge health nut to begin with and really kept me on track and held me accountable. I've been able to keep off the weight for 20 years, and now we are both giant health nuts. We have 3 kids. Our daughters are 14, 12, and 9. We've always been strict about health with them. They each have a workout machine in their room, which they have to use for an hour before dinner, and if we walk in and they aren't on their machines, they get their phones and toys taken away. My 2 oldest girls have rebelled against this a lot. Yo, that's young. There's like so many forms of exercise you can do before dinner. Making them go on machines is like the worst way. You gotta take them to the park, dance, trampoline. Like there's so many ways you could go about getting that exercise. We've also been really strict with nutrition. We've never had anything but fruits, veggies, and lean meats in our home, not even bread. At birthday parties, we took them home as soon as the cake and pizza came out, never took them trick-or-treating for Halloween, had teachers send them to different rooms when they had class parties with food, told their friends' parents not to feed them junk. I'll admit, we definitely sheltered them from junk food in the fear they'd grow up unhealthy. People thought we were ridiculous for the way we raised our kids, and we were warned about them having eating disorders, but thought we were doing what was best and everyone was being ridiculous. 3 months ago, we found out that our oldest daughters, who go to the same middle school, were sneaking food at vending machines from school with their allowance cash. My husband found out about this from hearing snacks in their backpacks and had a long talk with them about the dangers of eating those snacks and took the snacks and their money. I heard him talking to them and he was gentle and calm about it, but both girls ended up in tears. Recently, we got a call from our 12-year-old daughter's school counselor. Apparently, she has been chewing up her food and then spitting it out and making herself throw up in the bathroom when she ate lunch. They also talked to my 14-year-old, who said that lately she has been skipping breakfast and lunch a few times a week for the past couple of years because she was scared we would be mad at her when she ate. The counselor was not happy with me and recommended a treatment place for eating disorders. I feel like absolute like we've caused our daughters to have eating disorders and have to look out for signs in our 9-year-old. I called my mom for help. Instead, she berated me and called me a piece of mom, which was the last thing I needed to hear. My parents are taking my girls for a couple of days while I get everything together and set things up with eating disorder treatment place for when they come back. I don't know what to do. I feel proud that I didn't raise kids with a junk food addiction, and I put their health before their tears about not eating pizza. But now it's come at a price.
I can't sleep, so I want to tell you what's keeping me up at night, because I feel so guilty, literally. Basically, growing up, my uncle had a lot of, like, exotic animals, and he would hide them from my grandparents, like, my entire family. But he would tell me, because, like, I wouldn't snitch, right? So, this one time, he was just like, okay, like, I have a surprise, like, I got a new one. And I was like, okay. So, I go in the backyard, I go to the cage, and there's a crocodile. And I was just like, you're lying. Like, Jordan, it's mountain/deserts. Like, it's just no business for a crocodile to exist there, right? So, that was already weird. And again, like, the only deal that we had was, like, I get to, like, play with the pets as long as, like, I don't snitch on you. And he was okay with it. So one time he was just like, let's go take this on a walk, right? And I know that sounds like I'm lying. Like, I know. But, like, wallah, this is real. Like, I know this sounds so stupid, but like me and my uncle like really took a crocodile like on a walk in our neighborhood. Like actually this happened. And basically like I was younger, like I was like maybe 10 at the time, so like I still like would hold my uncle's hand like when I was crossing the street. And basically like like the crocodile got run over. Like it was totally my fault because like I distracted my uncle, like whatever. It was totally my fault. And it's like, like I already kind of feel guilty about that one. Like that one really like, weighed heavy on my soul for a while there. But, like we've moved on, like that was ages ago, but I just remembered something. So like, when it got run over, obviously like the dude came out and he was just like, like what the fuck, like it's a crocodile. And then he was like, wait, like I'm not in trouble, like I'm not gonna get in trouble with my, the police or anything because you can't have this crocodile. So then they both just agreed to like not talk about it or call the cops or anything, and then they just like moved on from the situation. My uncle, sorry, made me like wait next to like the sidewalk with like, the unalived crocodile on the side until he can like pull up with his car so we can just put it inside. And then like, he got rid of it. I never saw it again, right? But that year, everyone's birthday gifts were like leather goods. And I just thought about it, and I just got rid of that wallet like a year ago. I had that wallet for so long. Like I had the pet crocodile for so long, just holding my cards with me this whole time. Oh, that's cursed. That's bad vibe. Oh yeah, and basically after the crocodile situation, he got an eagle. And like, long story short, I fucked up. It was my fault. I forgot to lock the gate or the cage, whatever, and the eagle like flew away. And we really thought it was gone, right? And it was gone for like a full day, so we just kind of gave up on it, like whatever, we moved on. The next day, I actually just got a bunny. So I was, really excited. Me and my cousin got bunnies. My cousin was playing with his inside. I was playing with mine outside. And, the eagle, took mine. I didn't even get to name it yet. So I don't think I have good luck with bunnies or animals, really. Pets love me, though. Dogs, cats, so cute. Other animals, absolutely not. It's not working out for me.